In the committee of the whole, December 14th, and ask for a roll call, please.
Jacobson,
Here.
Fanouken,
Here.
Markwart,
Here.
Snow,
Here.
Noriko,
Here.
Baker, Favor, Ray,
Present.
6 present.
Thank you. Okay, considerations this evening. Our first item is the 2025 strategic plan update. And we're discussing incorporating the public comment period, which we've been in. City Manager Gora.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Just wanted to give an update tonight. We have Diana Robinson from the Center for Governmental Studies to give a brief update on the comments that have been received and the staging of what we're doing with incorporating those comments into the revised plan. The goal ultimately is to get that to you for the retreat that we're still trying to schedule the date for at some point in January to review the draft strategic plan, which would incorporate the community's comments. With that, I will turn it over to Diana Robinson to go into more specifics.
Thank you very much. So, good evening. As of today, we've received 15 sets of comments on the draft plan. 5 of those sets were either from commissions or committees or individual members of those groups. 9 were from residents, and 1 was from a city staff person. All of the comments were very thoughtful. A number of them were quite detailed. So in light of this, and given your interest in having a retreat to discuss the full-length draft in more detail, we thought it would be useful for you to see all of the comments verbatim to get a full sense of the comments, the thoughtfulness that went into them. And then as a companion piece to that, take the draft plan and incorporate those changes that suggested themselves to be actually actionable. There were a number of the observations in these comments were just that. They were more comments as opposed to suggestions, but you'll be able to see those for yourselves and make some judgment on those. So as soon as we can get this before city staff and to you, you'll have 2 documents. One will be the total content of the 15 comments, and the other will be a revised draft plan that, should you choose to accept these comments, that's how it might look. And that will be just as a guide. You can certainly make other changes as you wish. So that, in a nutshell, is where we are today. Do you have any questions or suggestions?
Any questions of Diana? Alderman Noriko.
Just out of curiosity, were people generally pleased with the strategic plan and the direction of it and so forth?
I would say that's a fair statement. When you see the full comments, you'll have a better sense for yourself, obviously. But yeah, in general, they were.
Thank you.
Very good. Other discussion? Seeing none, no. Thank you for the interim report. Look forward to the updated revised
Great, thank
plan.
you.
Thank you, Diana. The second item is consideration of an intergovernmental agreement with the DeKalb Community Unit School District number 428 for tax increment financing, tax increment funding in the amount of $2 million. City Manager.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Our Economic Development Coordinator, Jennifer Diedrich, is going to give an overview of the intergovernmental agreement. We do have 2 representatives from the school district who are also here to answer any questions, and if you want a presentation from them as well. And with that, I turn it over to Coordinator Diedrich.
Good evening. Earlier this year, the DeKalb School District approached city staff requesting TIF funding to complete infrastructure improvements in 2 schools which are located within the city's 2 TIF districts. Founders Elementary is in TIF 2, and Clinton Rosette Middle School is in the Central Area TIF. The city's TIF attorney, Kathleen Field Orr, worked with the school district's attorney to draft the attached intergovernmental agreement that's in your backup. Proposed improvements include at Founders Elementary, chiller installation, roof repairs, and rear parking lot repairs and/or replacement. At Clinton Rosette, the improvements include roof repairs, front parking lot installation, and reducting the second floor HVAC and replacing ceiling lights. The total cost of all of the improvements as proposed is estimated at just over $2.6 million. According to the agreement, all project costs noted are TIF eligible expenses, which must be completed no later than September 30th of 2017. The DeKalb School District will be covering the $610,000 gap between the project costs and the designated funding amount. In the FY16 budget, $1.5 million was budgeted in TIF 2 for the Founders Elementary improvements. The remaining $500,000 for the Clinton Rosette improvements will be budgeted in FY17 in the Central Area TIF. Staff believes extending these monies for improvements such as these are a good investment. Not only will they improve the safety and quality of life for the students who attend these schools, but the overall image of the community as a whole. The school district board initially considered this agreement at their November 17th, 2015 meeting, where it was received without objection. Should the city council agree to move forward with this agreement, it will be brought back for final approval on January 11th, 2016. And at this time, staff is requesting some direction.
Okay. Questions of Jennifer or the intergovernmental agreement? Alderman Noreko.
I just need to clarify, chiller installation is basically air conditioning
Yes.
installation? Okay. And how many of the DeKalb schools have air conditioning?
Andrea, do you want to come on up to the?
I believe currently, right now, we have 10 or 9 or 10. And some are partially air-conditioned. The whole building at Huntley is not yet all air-conditioned, but the main classrooms and such are.
Okay. And so this would be an upgrade for the school, or?
Absolutely.
Okay, okay.
And Andrea, how will the balance of projects be funded? The project list in your attachment to September 10th memo
Right.
had
So,
projects beyond the 2,000,006.
currently, right now, these are all estimates because these have yet to go out to bid. So right now, we are at the design stages for these, and we expect to have, if everything goes well, we expect to have this out on the streets for bid in January with a response by March for the district to make a decision.
Okay. But for example, the lighting ceiling replacement, the carpet and tile at Founders are not in the 2 million.
No, they are
6.
not.
How would those be addressed?
That will be dependent on what the state does to the school district for funding.
Okay, so those might be covered under life safety or some
Uh,
other,
Probably not under life safety unless they're a tripping hazard.
I see.
There are certain qualifications to all of that, but those just remain on our list for things to address at a
Okay.
later date if funding is available.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Other questions of Andrea, Alderman Jacobson?
It's not necessarily me, Andrea, it's more of Jen. In terms of economic development, again, TIF is paid in by the taxpayers and we act as their conduit to spend that money. TIF is an economic fuel for an economic engine. In terms of the words that you use, investment, how does the taxpayer see a return on that investment? If it's an investment, they expect a return on it. When you look at what TIF is meant to do in the definition of TIF, it's there to incentivize a project generally that couldn't necessarily bridge the gap effectively and spur private development with that money. How does changing a roof and an air conditioner in a school generate a return on that investment?
So your description of TIF helping make a private development move forward without the use of TIF, the investment or the project wouldn't go forward, that is a true statement. That is one of the uses of TIF. But TIF can also be used for other infrastructure improvements. It can be used for a variety of things. So I think, to answer your question, a community is only as good as the schools that operate within the community. So I think the schools are a direct reflection on the value that our community places on education. And when we're trying to attract, logistics or high technology or insurance companies, like these big firms, these knowledge-based firms to our community, they want to know what kind of educational system we have. And they want to know that we invest in it and that the schools that their children are going to attend are in good quality. So from that perspective, I believe it's a good investment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions, discussion? Okay, direction you need from council, Anne Marie?
Just a consensus, our goal would be, we've been working cooperatively with the school district, and as Andrea Gorla has outlined the timeline, I know their interest is to proceed forward. We've not had a public discussion with the council outside of the budget process. So if the consensus is to move forward, we would bring this back to you and list it on the January, the first council meeting in January. I think that's January 11th, for authorization to move forward and approving the agreement.
Jen, is there precedence where council has funded school projects through TIF revenues?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, we have a long history of funding school projects. Prior to the surplus agreement in 2011, we had an annual agreement with the school district that provided monies for a variety of improvements.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could add one other
Yes.
thing. This was an outgrowth, this discussion, of the initial joint task force that you set up probably about a year and a half ago, of trying to increase cooperation and coordination between the school district and the city. Out of that, some regular meetings started at the staff level to coordinate items better, at least at the staff level, and through those discussions of how TIF money would be spent, this is how the request came forward. So we're now taking it that next level, from the staff level to the council level. But this really is a testament to how the city is trying to work better with the school district to address issues as a community.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just ask if anyone objects to returning this intergovernmental agreement to a January 11th meeting? Or
Aye.
was suggested? Hearing none, I'll.
Aye.
Okay. Hearing a consensus from council, we'll proceed with receiving an intergovernmental agreement in
Thank you.
January.
Thank you.
Yep. Moving to public participation, Michael Haji Sheikh.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, and citizens of DeKalb. I'm taking some time out to discuss something that I think is problematic, and some of it's the behavior of the council, and some of it's the behavior of the management. Now, this started back in 2013. You guys have always heard me go on about College Town Partners. I'm not here to talk about College Town Partners. In 2013, Tim Struthers convinced Tom Mattea and Doug Roberts, your old friend John, to donate $100,000 or launder to the NIU Foundation for their public-private entity. Not talking about it. But some of that money was spent on University Village. Some of that money was sent to send two consultants to University Village to discuss this. These two people, probably 23 full man-hours that were spent at $250 an hour, were quite interesting. I think it's probably to say that it might be maybe a little unethical for us at the university, and probably, but maybe not even sure it's legal. But the money was given to, and the two guys were Terry Fogler and Jeff Kingsbury. You met Terry Fogler, Mr. Mayor. He came to talk to you a couple times. He was the president of college campus partners at Ohio State for a while. Jeff Kingsbury is a specialist on Section 8 housing. And they wrote a report to Ron Walters, and this report, it says in bullet, University Villages, coordinate availability and scope of work for Peter Roche to quickly undertake analysis of University Villages' financial structure, guys, and status and issues. Key questions: what is the status of current sale and disposition strategies? What is the status of HUD financing and rental agreements and projects standing with HUD? Assess current management issues. Assess likely implication of pending sale or restructuring of efforts in terms of management quality, housing, product type, and neighborhood issues. Identify preliminary opportunities to improve the prospects for this project having a more positive impact around the surrounding neighborhoods. Now, this is kind of a strange position for a university to get into as a developer. The other thing the university did was all of a sudden have a lot of emails back and forth. And they contacted Mr. Roberts' company, ZEA Mays, quite a bit. So I think of this more as a merger and acquisition project, not a particularly a research. Because when you, as a corporate guy like myself, when you go do this type of stuff, you're looking at trying to find someone to buy it. Now, in the following months, John, Ray, and Derek Highland attended several meetings at about University Village at the office of ZEA Mays and Sycamore. There's some report, it's Chuck Hanlon's Hillcrest report. I'm sure it's a very interesting report. I'd love to see it. And when looking at Bill Nicholas's calendar, a note says that Jennifer Gross was going to be included in UV discussions since she was already involved with residents. Maybe her impassioned speeches to you guys, or it's also a university assignment. One could only assume from documentary evidence their job was to help make this sale happen. On November 10th, there was a flurry of emails about ZEA Mays between university personnel, and all the university meetings, a lot of them were talking about Neighborhood 3. Now, those of you who don't know what Neighborhood 3 is, Neighborhood 3 is a designation that the university neighborhood study gave to University Village. Security Properties has a relationship with Ron Walters' company. Ron Walters, everybody remembers him as the $460,000 man. He works for a company called MBBJ Architects. Now, one of the guys that came down for this team was a guy who did a overall design working for NBBJ, this guy named Cannon, to design this place in Seattle called, in Bellevue area, it's called Spring District. It's the largest development in Seattle. So now you have Ron Walters and Nick Cannon and Security Properties all hooked together. Now, CEO of Security Properties is also an alumnus of the University of Idaho. I wonder where that guy came from. And apparently he donates a school business where a certain person named Dana Stover was associate dean. I can go on and on about this, but I believe the city manager and mayor haven't been totally truthful in how all of this has evolved. And it would be nice to have at least, maybe like the report you guys were going to do on College Town Partners, which hasn't happened for about a month and a half since the last email. I would like to see something about how all of these different little interactions have happened that bring some of these interesting characters to our town. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Anyone else wishing to address the cow at this point? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to recess for executive session for approval, to hold executive session to discuss personnel as provided for in 5 ILCS 120/2C1, and to discuss executive session minutes as provided for in 5 ILCS 120/2C21. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Noreko. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alderman Snow. I will be asking Tony Favor to attend as a guest at this executive session. I'll ask for a roll call.
Jacobson?
Yes.
Fanouken?
Yes.
Markort?
Yes.
Snow?
Yes.
Noriko?
Yes.
Baker? Ray?
Yes,
6 yes.
thank you. And we'll plan to reconvene for the 6 o'clock regular meeting in this room.